it's okay. I'm sure I'll say something stupid again.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you're all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 89 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hello, folks. We're back again. Another episode, full screen. And with us is the main man, the only person here that really matters. It's Major Socks.
That's it. You okay there, George?
What?
Yeah, it's good to be back, guys. After it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Family trying to go out, see Artemis launch, canceled twice. We're gonna go back out in a week and a half.
There was a whole flood of emails from people complaining that you wasn't here, and they were all sent from the one person, somebody called Jason that used to be a captain.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then above me is George. Or below me.
I will say, though, it looks like you got some gaming in. It looks like you played Pretty Princess.
Oh, it's... Yes! So, yes, folks, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she got that for Christmas, and so, yeah. She likes it when I play Pretty Princess with her and dress up with earrings and jewelry and stuff like that, but well.
Okay.
You gotta please the family.
I'm like, I've not heard of this game.
Oh, it's an old board game.
Oh, okay.
Very old board game that they remade it.
You need to sit down with her and have a talk and say, sweetie, I'm in the Air Force, not the Navy.
Anyway.
I am going to sit here and say, you know what? You're a good father. Screw what George has to say.
I know.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
The world is flat and Games Workshop has... Oh, wait, no, that's not the...
not that one yet.
TT Combat has released the Resistance Behemoth.
Come to the Resistance. We have behemoths now.
Yeah. It's a monster of a behemoth.
I said this, and I think it was Michelle that laughed at me, but I was dead serious. This is the second best of the behemoths they've done, looks-wise. It's only beaten by the Scourge. The Scourge is the only one that's better looking than this is.
It's better than the UCM. It's better than the Scourge, or not the Scourge, the Shaltari. I think the Shaltari is unfortunately at the bottom of the pile for appearance-wise. Better than Shaltari, better than UCM. It's better than the PHR just. And then I'm going to have to say that the Scourge has the advantage, though, because there's so much more of an organic type of army versus, I mean, what the PHR metal. Yeah, the PHR and UCM, it's what's that movie, Pacific Rim, with the the Jaeger bots or whatever. I mean, that's all those are. So, I did see a photo of this where they had made it like sitting like it was a good boy.
Nice. I like the fact that all of these are posable, because it kind of that's something that Drop Fleet has that Zone doesn't really. Well, not with a lot of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So the fact that the behemoths all actually can be posed, because I've seen there's an article where Dave paints up one, and the way he's posed his is so much more aggressive than the one that they did for the official photos from TT Combat.
Let's take a step back real quick. So you buy your normal attack box of Marines, right? They're all a static pose. To put them on the base and they're there, right? You can't do much with them. What happens when you buy an Imperial Knight or whatnot? You can move its legs, rotate its body. The more you pay for something, you better have some posability options, make it look more unique, more your own, instead of like the 50,000 that everyone else has. So I agree. I think it's good that these behemoths do have that posability option and feature.
Yeah. This is like it's really, really good. It's either a Juggernaut or a Colossus, so this is a member of the X-Men, regardless of how you build it. I prefer the one that has the big gun personally, because
Yeah, it
how
reminds me
could
of
you not like the gun?
Well, yeah, that gun reminds me of the photos of World War II with the German guns on the railway cars.
Yes, that is exactly what it looks like.
I would be very surprised if that's not what inspired it, honestly. It just makes
Yeah.
too much sense.
Now that being said, all those missile pods. That's
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I just noticed it has 2 red bumps, like 2 big tactical newts sitting in its butt. Don't make me farties.
Yeah.
This is a really gorgeous kit. Like I said, I think this is the second best looking of the behemoths.
Like I said, the Scourge one's hard to beat. Just because, like I said, the organicness that
It
the
just
Scourge,
makes too much sense.
But this is just the one question I have though is like, so the Resistance, right? They're kind of ragtag and like, post-apocalyptic and barely surviving. How'd they build this?
Well, if you read this storyline, this is part of a where is it? Exploratory vehicle.
Oh, I see that.
So they just pretty much converted it from post-Scourge invasion.
Is that why you can pose it like a good boy? Because it sits there and goes...
Probably. It's like a lot of things with the Resistance. A lot of the things that they use has been kind of scratched together and held together, and that's why the weapon kind of looks like it's been bolted on in the case of both of them, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like it's part of... I mean, you could paint that to make it even more obvious that it's been bolted on, and I probably would if I was doing Resistance. I would probably paint it on to make it look like that is newer than the rest of the... Like, you make all the rest of the ship all rusty and grimy, and then this is all nice and new, the weaponry on top. That's probably the way I would do it. It depends on how ragtag you want your feeling to be.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it, too, is between the Juggernaut and the Colossus, it has those giant missiles, but just reading it through the storyline, it looks like it has extra missiles in the little cargo hold area, whereas a Juggernaut with a big, huge cannon, it looks like it may be able to transport ATVs, technicals, and wagons, which is the only behemoth that could transport vehicles around with you and then plop them out right on top of you as well.
Oh, that could be...
That
could be a game changing.
I think that makes it the one that you have to take personally, because then it fulfills multiple roles in the battlefield.
That almost sounds like that could become broken too easily, too quickly. If you've got like the biggest thing on the field, that is going to be the hardest thing to take out on the field, transporting your objective grabbers and other sort type things.
I just saw what they call the missiles. They're called Gilgamesh missiles.
Yeah.
Gilgamesh. That is a great name.
It is. Now all he needs is a meal of Smurfs and he'll be very happy.
No, that's Gargamel.
Ah, damn. Damn. Oh, well, okay. I was very happy. I'm not as happy anymore. Gilgamesh is a good name, though. All right. Moving on.
Took me a second there.
I wanted to move along and have a bit of a chat about the Carnivale stuff. It's been a while since we've seen something new from Carnivale. There is a couple of things. There's a couple of classic minis that have come back as well. But I really like these for the guild. They have the good boys, and they are really good boys. I really like the dogs. I think the dogs are actually the highlight of this set, personally. Not that I don't like the rest of it. It's just, how could you not like those dogs? They are sculpted really well.
I was going to say, only even one of them looks like a good boy. The other two look like they're going to take your lunch money.
Yeah, they're going to tear you apart.
Yeah. There's one of them that looks like he's tripping over a rock.
Yeah, that's the good boy. He's happy.
I really, really like these. I mean, the humans are good too, obviously. But the dogs just stand out because how could they not? The guy with the giant spear that's clearly been attacked by his own weapon several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little unreasonable. I will say this, coming from a household with a bunch of dogs, seeing good sculpts of dogs is not a common thing. Like,
No,
look
there's
at
only a few.
like Thunderwolves from Games Workshop, probably the most common thing people will see as far as a sculpted canine. They're off.
Oh,
And
they're
Cavalry,
big time off.
they're even more off. Like so.
Yeah, I mean that's forgivable because it's sci-fi, and I mean they're not even direwolves haven't existed for hundreds of years at this point. We're kind of guessing as to what they did look like to some extent, but that is also a sculpt that hasn't been redone for a very long time as well, which is part of the problem. The only one I can't think. Somebody makes a group of D&D dogs, and I can't think who it is right now. But they're probably the other ones that come to mind for good dog sculpts. If you know of good dog sculpts, let us know.
So I was just looking at the. I'm going to call him the Taskmaster because he's got a whip like a Taskmaster would.
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed the back view of that sculpt where like you can actually see the end of the whip.
Yep. You can see it's literally about to crack.
I was going to say, how attached is that to the mini? Is it touching him, or is that just, like very close to him?
It's very hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's very hard to tell.
I would love for it to be like just the scantest millimeter away from, so there's protection from the mini. If it's attached, I mean, I can understand that's a fidgety piece, but that's a really cool little detail like that, I think.
If it was me, I would have it like sculpted so that it's attaching to that leg, but nothing else. But I don't know. I just don't know. It's hard to tell, impossible to tell from those angles. Possibly, where was the group shot? No, because they take the photos all from the same angle, which makes it really hard to see. I don't know. It could be either way. It also, if it's a separate piece, there is a chance that you can warm it up and actually manipulate it to be
a little bit.
And manipulate it to be any direction that you wanted. The downside of that, and why I suspect that they wouldn't, is
it's because it break every time you look at it.
Break, yeah, because it'll be too thin.
You just go like this and snap right off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving along, we haven't spoken about Wyrd for a long time.
Weird.
I know, right? So, Malifaux have a new expansion coming out. It's called Madness of Malifaux. This looks like a very boring page, but it's not, because there's a video here that shows us lots and lots of stuff that's coming. So this is a new expansion book. We've got, now I've got to remember, it's 6 new masters, each of which come in 2 different forms. So they're all completely new crews in here, as opposed to the previous one, which is an expansion that kind of gave us new versions of all of the old masters. So it's continuing the story of the man who burns, the Burning Man. So the Burning Man had come into Malifaux and was kind of corrupting everybody, and he was like this old-timey corrupted force, and it was kind of slowly trying to turn everything in his favour. So this is a continuation of the story. Malifaux is a game where the story will continue to move on all the time. It's not like 40k where time just pauses and then everything happens sideways. I describe it like that because for people that don't know, the story of the Primaris was the first time the 40k story had moved on pretty much since, 3rd edition? As far as stepping forward is concerned?
I was going to say, yeah, because I think that was one of the first, that's when the Dark Eldar were introduced, and at that point, what you had was Marines, Imperial Guard, Xenos, Tyranids, and Eldar Orcs. I think that was it.
Yeah, where Malifaux has always been a continuing story. Infinity does it the same way, but we'll talk about Infinity later. Personally, I prefer a continuing story, but I do understand why they haven't always done that with 40k, because 40k is not so much, but new things are being discovered all the time. Yes, but they're being discovered at the same point in the story all the time.
So, and I'm not going to disagree. Like moving the story forward, moving the plot forward, doing that. I do like that. I do like the fact that game designers are, still doing that for established, mini games.
You can't do that with
hand,
40k because if you continue the story too far with 40k, everybody's dead, which is kind of the point of 40k. Like, the story of 40k is on the precipice of everybody being dead.
Well, and then you'd wind up with Warhammer 50k, and
true.
But the one thing I was getting to was the one thing I don't like about continuing the story is you have to go by the next book. You have to go by
well, yeah.
I mean, and like I said, if it's a continuing story, that's a side effect of it, and I get that. So, and then that goes to the argument of how many years do we have to go by new codexes for Warhammer? Why not advance the story? 5-10 years then at least. Not everyone's going to die in 5-10 years.
No, true. In the case of this, we have had some of the new masters show up. I've got Harold Tull on screen at the moment. A little bit later on, we see his second version, which is Dead Silent, and he comes with a cat. We also have Damien Ravencroft, the Aspirant. And then a little bit further on, we have Damien Ravencroft Unbound, which just looks badass. Tiri, everybody's kind of trying to figure out what Tiri is at this stage. Like, people are guessing that she's either a member of the Fae or that she's some alien race that's shown up, which would be very weird for Malifaux. Her second form is very different as well. It's believed that she might be one of the original inhabitants of the world. There was a race of people called the Awa or something that were like advanced civilization type thing that got almost wiped out. So that's what most people are predicting she is at this stage. We don't know. My favourite of them is the Clampets, and I doubt that choice of name is accidental. They're running.
I was going to say, are they oil tycoons?
They might be. I mean, instead of having a car, they have a giant fish monster. But then they have a car in the next picture, so it's okay. Which is like a boat, but it's a car. I really like this. Like, the fact, and I'm not the first person to say this, the fact that this master is a group of people rather than just one person, I really, really like that. We also have Lin Yi, which is like the initial one is kind of interesting. It's very much leaning into mythology here. Her second one, like, she's from the library and she's literally creating things from the books. This is a concept I love, and I'm really hoping we get some really interesting models out of that. We've again got Castore, the Awakened, which is very clearly our Neverborn, and Castore Fervent, which is just, so this is very clearly going to be a vampire type thing. And then we get a couple of previews of some minis that are coming. We've got this Atlas-looking robot, which is very clearly going to belong with that Tilly character. We've got Totally Not the Monkey King, and another robotic thing that I suspect comes from the Awa dude. And a really cool-looking eye sculpt. So this is just previews of some of the stuff that's coming. I haven't bought an actual Malifaux book for a while. I'm really, really tempted to buy this one.
Can I talk about how awesome the cover art is on that book?
Oh, I love the cover art.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Their cover art is quite often really good, honestly.
That cover art is like, as far as a game guide reference book, I mean, that is just stunning looking. Like all these other companies, I'd say like most akin to it as far as like, simplistic yet eye-catching was the blueprint layout for the original Drop Fleet.
Yeah, yep, that's another one that I really like.
Not, this is like just very like, it's simple and, it catches your eye,
The fact that it's not all art means that the section of it that is art stands out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep. No, I agree. I really like that. So this is coming. We know when it's coming? I don't think we do.
This year.
October. It's Oh, they're releasing it for my birthday. Oh, awesome.
Happy birthday.
Well, not yet.
Close enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
When you get it, it will be.
So yeah, this is coming. In response to what you were saying earlier about having to buy new books and so forth, Malifaux is the game that you don't have to get into the story if you don't want to. I mean, every game is a game where you don't have to. I mean, obviously you're always having to buy rules and stuff, but all of the rules for the minis themselves are available through their app. So
they don't change. They don't change them every book release.
They get updates and stuff, but the updates go through the app. So
okay,
it's much like Infinity and Bushido, and like any updates that go through are updated on the app itself.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on. We've had a couple of previews come through for Games Workshop. The first of which is the Clade Venenum. Honestly, don't think very much of this. Honestly, I don't really like it at all. The Assassins for 40k have always been among the coolest models. That they have been very hit and miss as to whether people like the current versions of them or not. I think this looks horrible.
Yeah.
It could be the paint job. I don't like the look of this model at all.
I was going to say, when I first saw it, before I read it, I thought it was part of the Deepkin army for Sigmar.
He does look very short.
Right? So, no, Deepkin, the sea creature army.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, at first I thought he was wearing a scuba mask, but then I was just like, wait, he looks like he's wearing a gas mask now, so either one.
Yeah, I'd have to read what he does, because it's talking about poisons and stuff like that, and it's just like the Vindicar assassin, that's great. The Claudius assassin, that's like, essentially Wolverine, that one's great. The one where it's like stealths into your opponent's unit, like your opponent can see that you've put a mini in their unit. Like, yeah, I mean,
there is a Venom assassin in the current game, but this is like 40k, not 40k. Horus Heresy is older, so obviously you expect some stuff to look older. But the problem with 40k is that the Heresy is the height of their civilization, so things should look better. This kind of looks like it's steampunky. I don't know. I mean, I normally like steampunky, but I really don't like this.
Yeah, this is not a good sculpt, in my opinion.
Nope.
We have also been shown some previews for Dawnbringer, and they're actually previewing some stuff coming up for Cities of Sigmar. Now, the main reason I pointed out this is the Cities of Sigmar pretty much got the laziest release in the previous edition. Like, all they got was a book, and it was just basically thrown together. This appears that they've actually listened, and they might actually be doing some new models. Now, I don't think new models is something that you had to do, because, some of those older models are fine, but we are at least getting a release for Cities of Sigmar, which is something that needs to be praised, because every release should be getting at least something of prominence. It'll be interesting to see what they are. I mean, we don't know, obviously. This rifle down the bottom looks really moronic. I don't quite get... it looks like it's missing pieces, is the problem.
So
the pistol's nice. The rifle looks moronic.
It's missing its whole firing apparatus.
I'm looking at that, and it looks more like it's a cannon, because if you look right at in front of the hand where there's like that part attached, there's a hole in the side. That looks like where you would pour the powder in and then ignite it to expel the ball.
So it's a really tiny cannon.
Yes. Or you could argue
saber.
An abacus.
Or a bayonet. With a bayonet attached to it.
I still really don't like it. It looks really stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, we're not seeing the full model, so maybe it's something that'll come into its own. I mean, a tiny cannon that you fire is a really cool idea. I just don't like this.
Yeah.
At one time in the game, because by the time you possibly reload it, your enemy's upon you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with guns in this stage anyway.
Well, and especially if it, but if it works on the rules of dwarven cannons from Warhammer Fantasy, that'd be really cool, though.
Yeah,
Given that they were
that's
broken.
faction that.
Huh? What'd you say, Bruce?
Dwarven cannons were always very broken.
Yeah, but they worked like a cannon at least, so.
Well, yeah, true. I don't know. Look, I'm very happy that we are getting to see some actual releases for the Cities of Sigmar. I think it's, of all of the armies, it's probably the one that needed it the most. Just that last one for me is just real. It doesn't hit home. Whatever it is that they're trying to do, I don't think it works. But that's not the big news for this weekend. The big news for this weekend is that I've been wrong. It wasn't November. It's September that we're getting the Votann. This really surprises me. I genuinely thought that I was going to be right on this. I mean, does it really matter when they come out? No. But it does surprise. I genuinely thought it was going to be November, and this was going to be the big Christmas thing. So, the reason that we're looking at this on the old article and not the website is that in Australia, the Games Workshop website's gone down. It looks like it's been attacked. So,
my theory is that Australian Warhammer fans got mad and DoD attacked the web server for Games Workshop Australia.
Yep.
I don't know. So this picture here is the box that's being released, the preview box. So this is exactly the same that we've seen in previous years with the new elves and the Sisters of Battle. It is a preview box before the main release that we would expect will be either very late this year or it will be early next year. So you're getting 20 of the troops, you're getting 3 of the bikes. I still think the bikes is the best part of the army, and by a fairly long way. In Australia, they're charging $335. In the US, it's $200. I don't know what the UK price is.
£120.
So it's
$136 US.
So Australia's being raw-ended again. Not as badly as some of the stuff we've looked at previously, though.
Well, they're probably trying to collect more because all the currency has to change here in the next few weeks.
That is a good point. I think the deadline's November or something. I don't know. They do have a deadline as to when that has to happen. In all honesty, this seems to have been very much a Marmite product where there's certain parts of the audience that really do love this, and there's certain parts of the audience that really hate it. I think I kind of said last episode why I feel that is, which is that they're trying to do retro and they're trying to do modern all at the same time, and it kind of, I don't know, I really like what they're doing, but I think they've dropped the ball on a couple of things. The camper van being one of them.
Yeah,
I like the concept, but the fact that it wasn't all anti-grav, which is, they should have gone one direction or the other with that, is how I feel.
Yep. No, for sure. The fact that the bikes are anti-grav and the other vehicles are wheeled, that's a huge discontinuity in my opinion, especially if we look at some of the capabilities of the guns. Why why would you have wheels still if you have guns like that? Yeah. The other thing is the normal little leader guy there with his tactical rock. Get over it. The one guy where he was walking on the rocks. I get why they did that because he's a psyker. He's using the rocks to walk across the uneven terrain easier. I get that. I quite literally almost hit the pre-order button, and then I got distracted today. And then when I went to go hit that pre-order button, it said it was sold out. So
they will be coming again. So I wouldn't stress over that too much. The thing I would, because
but I want it now.
Well, you can't have it now. You've missed out. I mean, I have mixed feelings about the price. I don't think the pricing of the initial... I mean, it's pretty much what I expected it to be. But the value that you see in that depends on how much you value the prices that they normally set. In Australia, at least, they're usually charging around the $80 mark for their codexes. And this box is pretty much in line with their Crusade boxes. So it's that $180 mark. So there's already $260, and then you've got the cards and everything on top of that as well. So it does line up. You're not getting a deal here though. It's just regular price. And it depends on how much you value being one of the first people to have this, is whether you find it important or not. It is probably worth noting that the version of the Codex that comes in this is a limited edition version of it. That's the only place that you'll be able to get that full art style one. It is a nice looking cover. Unfortunately, we don't have it on this page. Like I said, the main page is down at the moment, but it's a piece of artwork you've seen already. We looked at it, I think it was last episode. It might have been the episode before. So, but I think they've actually done pretty well on this, especially given what they had to work with. The original squat models were horrible, quite frankly. I know that they had their fans, but I think most of the fans were on the side of, I kind of wish they had have done something with this rather than what they were doing was working. There's been lots and lots of fan stuff that was really, really good up until now. But I think given the very limited amount they had to work with, I think they've done pretty much all right.
Well, and I think why they're such the fanatical, because, there are some people like me where it's just like, my fantasy army is dwarves. My Sigmar army is dwarves. My 40k army is not dwarves.
Yeah. Which means that up until now, you would have had to have gone and played Mantic's version.
Yeah, so the fact now that, I think Games Workshop has finally gotten to the... why don't we have space dwarves? We have space elves, we have the chaos, we have, naughty space elves. Why don't we have space dwarves? Hell, we have Gundam suits. So
I think there was I think there was a problem for a long time because that initial the initial attempt went so poorly that I feel that a lot of the old hats kind of felt bitter about it. That it was just because they literally killed off the story. That's how much they hated it. They literally killed the entire thing because they was that unhappy with it. And the idea was, no, this is really bad. We're never doing this again. And they've backpedaled on that because as it looked,
yeah.
That they had make no mistake. This is a backpedaling for the company, and I feel it's because the modern day company realizes that they can do something with this, and they have. Is this something I'm going to buy? No, I'm not buying this. But this, I suspect, will be very, very... This is going to sell very well.
Well, the pre-order is already sold out. I was going to get on that pre-order, but it then sold out, so...
To be fair, a lot of their fan base are sheep and will buy anything that they're told to. I'm not surprised that it sold out.
That's fair. The other thing that shocked me too, because I went to the ye old eBay after I saw it was sold out, and all the eBay sellers were selling for cheaper than Games Workshop.
That's not going to last very long.
Yeah, they were selling $170 a box.
Interesting.
So I didn't buy it because then I didn't want to risk the chance of my box not showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving
so there
on.
we go. Yeah, look, I made the comment about sheep. I'm not saying all 40k fans are sheep. I'm just saying that there is a percentage of that audience that will buy anything they're told to.
Well, there's just that percentage in the audience. There's people that CMON releases something, they back it. There's
I know
people who still think, who?
Not going to say.
Not talking. Oh,
because it's somebody I
know. There's people that that still think Mythic Games is a good gate company that produces quality stuff.
Well, I wouldn't quite go. There's more to your thoughts than that. I don't think that's entirely fair, and I think you know that.
It is and it isn't, so...
Yeah. Moving on, we have the rest of the previews for Bushido. So we looked at Drunken Master last episode. I know you didn't see that, Socks, but we did,
Nope.
so boo. The first one appears to be like a twisted genie of sorts. It's like an undead. Like the magical stuff around the base is very, very similar to the magical stuff that's around the skeletons in that other box.
The word you're looking for is kami. K-A-M-I.
True.
Japanese demon. And it also says minor kami on her data card.
So it does. I was trying to be more generic with my... Yeah, I was trying to be more generic with what I was trying to explain. Because it gives off the vibe with the jar sitting next to it. So this is, like a demon that's been drawn into the basket or into the pot that's been blessed. We also have Nagaro, which is the new ninja. He has 2 hook blades that he's kind of connecting together and spinning around his head.
Yeah, I like that one.
I really, really like all of these, honestly.
I believe that's pronounced Nagato.
Yes, that would make sense. And Kinzoku is a new blacksmith for the Minimoto. I love this guy. This guy's really cool.
Pose. So I've said this about Bushido, though. Like the stereotype, that they capture the essence of.
Yep.
That is such a good, armoring pose. Like, the kneeling position, adorning the helmet. That is so...
I agree. It looks really cool.
I personally, the Kami is my favorite out of all of these that we're looking at today, but I think they're knocking all 3 of them out of the park here. The Minimoto have something really, really nice in this new blacksmith. I think this is a piece of armor that he has sculpted for somebody else, though. I don't believe that's his. Because he doesn't have any armor in his card.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's kneeling down next to the samurai that he's just
presenting.
He's
presenting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all of his powers in the cards are about empowering and blessing other people, which would make sense. That is how they tend to work. Ben, I think, is going to have to buy this. I don't think there was any question that he would have anyway. But, Ben, you've got to buy this. You have no choice in the matter.
Yeah, because one of his... I don't know how the card works because I haven't played the game, but one of the cards is Blessing of Steel. It's an enhancement equipment. Attached model gains armor 3.
Yep. And...
as one of his cards.
Yeah, and that's one of the ones that they didn't have up until this point. That's a brand new one. That comes with the model as well. If included in the model, you may also include Fire and Steel Kami.
I'm gonna have to say I think Nagato is my favorite mini of them, just because I always thought those the hook swords. I always thought those were a really interesting weapon.
Yeah, I agree. Just the amount of damage that you could do with them is just really, really nasty. Like, you're just digging into the flesh, and the more you pull, the more damage you're doing. It's just nasty.
Well, and then you can hook them like that and swing them around, because the handguard is a little miniature axe, so you could be swinging an axe at, twice the range then.
Yep. Yeah. Looking at his card very briefly, the hook swords is just one weapon, but he gains combo attack, which is obviously the representation that he has 2 weapons. He has an ability where he links the swords, which means that he gains reach, and it gives chain weapon. So they've actually worked it in with how they work into the rules itself, which I really like. And we finally have our Bleeding Moon theme officially. Ben and I have known this is coming for a while, but we didn't know the exact details of it. Because this had been previewed on the Bushido Discord a good few months ago. We were about halfway through our series when we got this preview. But because it hadn't been finalised, we couldn't really talk too much about it because there wasn't really, we didn't know how much of it was going to be changed yet. But this guy is coming with quite a few event cards and stuff as well. We had hoped that maybe we were going to get a new box set, because the ninjas don't have a box set of their own. They're too... The way that the ninjas work, all of the player base use them very, very differently. So GCT Studios have quite deliberately not released an actual starting box, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense for these guys. Because it's every single one of their models is very much a Swiss Army knife. It's very, very, very elite, and you can use them very differently. So it looks like they're going to be staying on theme with that. But yeah, that's Bushido. Bushido is really good. If you haven't played it, you should. Like, legit, it's really, really good. Probably my favourite melee mechanic to date. But Black Site Studios.
This is cool.
This looks amazing.
My goodness, this is... I think this might be my favourite... This might be my favourite piece of terrain I have ever seen. I'm never going to be able to afford to buy it, but this might be my favourite, and it's modular too, which makes it even better. So I'm just on the front page.
And the size of this thing, like you said, that's modular, and the size of it at the same time. This thing is huge.
So I'm gonna say this right now. This is the perfect terrain piece for Zone Mortalis.
Zone Mortalis?
Zone Mortalis, like the 40k in a building.
Oh, right, yes. Yes, okay.
This is now the perfect board for that.
It's a little bit too modern day, though.
Man, it's called paint.
Well, true. So, there's different versions of this kit that you can buy. You can literally just buy smaller pieces and build it up over time, which for a lot of people I feel is the way that they're going to go. Or alternatively...
Is 360 a lot?
Alternatively, there are 3 bundles that are limited edition bundles that you can buy, like, just for now, as part of the pre-order. But otherwise, afterwards, it's going to be the floor plates are sold separately, the shops are sold separately, and so on and so forth. I really, really, really like this. It's so good. I'm just going to open up the big bundle because at this point, it's the one that makes the most sense. All of the pieces to this are completely modular. You can put all of this together in your own way. I mean, it is going to be boxy. You can't have a round mall. But the Northwood Mall is, I think, without question, the most detailed, large terrain piece I have ever seen. Like, you don't need to add to this. There's nothing that seems to be missing. Everything has tables. You've got escalators. Everything just works.
I'm going to say this. I think Black Site Studios with this has, to the rest of the terrain industry, said, wait, here, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Site Studios have been impressing people for a while. We were impressed by the cabin, and that is one of their older things at this point.
Yeah.
That they have put the industry on notice with this. This is incredible. I want this. I can never afford. I can never afford to buy this, because keeping in mind for me, I would also have to pay for postage on top of that.
That's ridiculous. FYI, it is ridiculous. I've recently discovered.
and it's pre-painted, and it covers just about a 3x2 foot space on your tabletop too. So
yeah, it's
just
huge.
over 2 feet and about 3 feet, just about 2 inches short of 3 feet. So I mean, this thing. It's massive.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's double 2 levels, yeah, exactly. 2 levels. And so it's amazing.
Yeah.
Louis, you need to start listening to this and make Drop Zone or Drop Squad Commander now.
Yeah, I agree. I think he already is. and there's a reason I have teased him about it. There's no question that Drop Squad is coming. It was always coming. It was just a matter of them working it out and it getting high enough on the list. All right. I mentioned that we were going to look at some Infinity stuff. So, hey, let's have a look at some Infinity stuff.
Some Corvus Belli.
Yeah. So there's been quite a few things that's been previewed for upcoming. I'm only looking at a couple of them today. Most of these were shown off at Gen Con, but they're actually available now, so I'm talking about them now. The Gator multi-heavy machine gun tag, I think might be the best looking tag the Nomads have ever had, and the Nomads do have some really nice looking tags. I really, really love this thing. It's amazing. I really like this. I don't need it, but I'm really tempted to buy it. We also have the Chinnabog, which is the one that I think George is going to fall in love with very quickly.
Yeah, I like this one already too.
No, I like the other one better.
You don't like the one that has claymores literally built into the armor?
No.
It even has front towards enemy on the front.
I understand that. Infinity has a look, and this guy doesn't have the look, in my opinion.
Well, this is for the faction that's kind of the down-to-earth one. They had not had a tag up until now. This is their only tag that they've ever had.
That makes sense.
The Ariadne are like a down, like their technology is not as high as the rest of them, but the metal that everybody else uses to build their spaceships, they usually use for their regular armor. So that they're very, very different. And I suspect that's why this looks very, very different as well. It is pretty much on brand. It looks like this thing's huge. My favorite of the two is the Gator, and by a huge way. I'm just surprised because I honestly thought that George would get into the BattleTech looking one.
Same.
We've lost George, but that's okay.
We have lost him temporarily.
We will move on to a project by another creator. Black Magic Craft has been around for quite a while. I think it's probably fair to say that most people are going to know who this guy is. He has been working on a game of his own for quite a while at this point, and it's now on Kickstarter. So, Idols of Torment is a very, very unique looking game. Basically, this is their version of the Afterlife, and all of this really creepy. It's very body horror, the aesthetic of the minis in this. I really, really like what they're doing with the minis. I can see where the inspirations have come from. There's very clearly some stuff that's come from 80s horror in here, and the body horror is fairly obvious. George is back. George, we're looking at the next story, which is Idols of Torment.
I kind of figured when you were talking about horror, and I figured that Infinity was not very horror themed.
I really like what he's doing with this. As to how the game plays, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Because I don't know.
I've been seeing this advertised on my Facebook like 5 or 6 times.
Well, it's Black Magic Craft. He is very popular, and I suspect that he's paying for the advertisement. The big thing for me, like, you can buy the minis as STLs, which doesn't surprise me, but the fact that he actually does have hard plastic minis really surprises me. I would have thought that would have been outside of his price range, quite frankly.
Well, and a vinyl soundtrack disc that comes with it if you pledge enough.
Well, yeah, that doesn't entirely surprise me. It is a bit niche, but
yeah,
at the same time, vinyl is not. I mean, it's not cheap to make, but it's not hard plastic expensive either.
The hipsters love it, dude.
Well, that too. I really like what he's doing here with the aesthetic of the minis. All of the different factions feel like they belong in this world, but they're all very, very different from each other. It's a really twisted new version of the Afterlife. It doesn't feel like it's, well, this is our version of this, or this is our version of that. I can see the inspiration. I mean, very clearly there's inspiration from 80s horror here. But it doesn't feel like they're just, well, this is our version of Hellraiser and this is our version of Jason Voorhees. It genuinely feels like they've done something different. I like the. So there's one particular mini that's just pulling his chest apart.
Yeah. I was gonna say I just saw that one. It was just a little like, oh, that is horribly awesome.
Yeah.
Especially the way it's been painted. Whoever painted that, you're gonna make nightmare fuel for people. Thank you.
I could be wrong, but I would be very surprised if he didn't paint. Yeah, he painted it himself. Because that is part of what he does, so I would have been very surprised if he didn't. You'll see there's a little line under there. Corruptor, Slayer, and Reaper, da-da-da-da-da, painted by Black Magic Craft.
I see that now, yeah. This is some really good looking stuff.
Yeah. From what I understand, you don't have to use their minis. You can go mini agnostic with this, is my understanding. But the minis are obviously there for people that do want them. Personally, I think you'd be silly not to buy it with the models, because how could you not want those models? But if you're already somebody like us that has way more models than we will ever use, it's also an excuse to use stuff that you don't have use for yet. I like I said, I really like this. This is really, really good.
Aesthetically, this looks so good on so many levels.
This has been something that I know he's been working on for a long time. I think it's probably fair to... I don't know about you. I've been following Black Magic Craft for a long time. He's one of the YouTubers that genuinely does put out some... He's not just popular. He actually does put out some really good product, really good advice and stuff.
Content?
Yeah, content. That's the word I want. So, yeah, I was really happy to see that this is finally here. And Archon are doing his minis. That explains how he's affording the plastic. Okay. Yeah. Still has 25 days to go. This has been a longer campaign. So,
why does Archon sound familiar?
They are the one that did one of the He-Man ones. They are the one that did. Yep. They did Dungeons and Lasers as well.
Yep.
Which the quality of their plastics is very high. Moving on to another Kickstarter. This one is a little bit more simple, honestly. So this is by Zykit. That's how I'm choosing to pronounce it. If it's wrong, then oh well. So this is the Librarian's Enchanted Tome. This is a 3D product. And basically this is a fake book that you can use to store stuff in. It's completely modular. You can print out the version of this that you want. So there's a version of this that holds just dice. There's a version of this that has dice, mini, and a dice rolling tray. There's different outliers for the books. There's different versions of the books that you can buy. You can basically print out the version of this that you want. I really like this idea. So as you move down, like there's one for card games, so you can print out double decks. So if you want to do this for Magic, which just makes so much sense, then you would have one for your deck and one for your discard. You can also have an optional divider that just goes inside, so that you've got dice and a deck, and then you've got an insert that makes it so that you can put minis in it, plus an optional divider. This is really well thought out. There's different pedestals and ink pots and like just for whatever you want, pretty much. I really, really like what they've done with this.
So I would say this is almost like the perfect, like, if you're going to a very high end like Wizards of the Coast Magic tournament where, you know, you need to carry your cards, you know, pen, notepad, stuff like that. This would be a very good thing for that because it's all in one thing. The fact that, you know, it's a very a very cheap Kickstarter as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Because like there's only one pledge, I think. No,
Well,
there's you can also do a merchant thing.
Because the issue I'm running into is Rapid City is where my corporate office is at, and I'm looking and I don't see this company listed in Rapid City anywhere.
Huh. They do have a
was
website.
like-
I have seen them around before, but I suspect
Well-
that this company is like a mother and father operation type thing, as opposed to an actual company.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm just going to throw that out there because Kickstarter I backed said it was in Aurora, Colorado, and then all of a sudden, like, nothing's happened with it, and it turns out their address they gave was a strip mall with, like, just addresses for rent, essentially.
Well, this particular creator have created other projects before.
Okay.
That have actually been fulfilled. So
I'll take it back then.
Apparently his name is Jason. It's not either of us though, unless Socks has something he wants to tell us.
Yep, it's my new venture. No, it's not me. It's not me.
No, I know.
What are you doing in South Dakota? Are you at one of the missile bases now?
Yeah, I am. No, or the B1 base that's up there in Ellsworth. No,
that's where he always was. He never was in either of the other two states.
Oh, that's right. The B2 base is in Iowa. That's not Iowa, Ohio.
the B1 is Ellsworth, South
Yeah,
Dakota, and then
I'm talking the B2.
the B2 is in Missouri.
Is it Missouri? Oh yeah, it is Missouri. Yeah, never mind. Okay.
Anyways,
Yeah. In the past,
these books look cool.
Yeah, I really like them. He's made 3D printable dungeon master screens. He's done different miniature bases and miniatures and terrain, and like he's done a few things in the past. It looks like he's been around for a while. I thought it was really unique, and I really like it.
This is quite literally a ooh.
So
Okay, we're gonna rewind here a little bit. I mentioned a Kickstarter that was in Aurora, Colorado, that turned out to be nothing.
Yeah,
It was magnetic stacking boxes for holding lots of cards for games like, say, Nemesis. Because Nemesis has a few cards.
Yep.
Down here we have the Librarian's inbox,
which holds the books. Yeah.
which, well, joining stackable deck trays, poker-sized cards.
Oh, it's not what I thought it was. I thought that was for the books.
No, it's you stack that and it holds multiple decks of cards.
That's a really cool idea. Then I like that.
Because instead of having 6 decks of cards going like this, you have 6 decks of cards going like this, and you use less table space.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's actually a really cool idea. I really like that. So yeah, like I said, it's just such a cool idea. I mean, every game has knickknacks that you need to take along with it. If it's Infinity, then it's 3 million tokens. If it's Star Wars Legion. If it's Star Wars Legion, it's 5 million tokens. Those two,
so true.
Like Fantasy Flight are very token heavy. Corvus Belli is also very token heavy. It's
if you
just
play
a fact of
Orcs, you
life.
need a wheelbarrow for all your dice.
Yep. But everybody has different solutions, and most of those solutions are usually a plastic box with a divider in them. I kind of like an option to just have that in some special way.
Yeah, I mean, can you just imagine walking into your local D&D group and you just plop down with the book and you pull out your little character and your dice sets, or Magic Tournament like you were talking about earlier. You got one for each of your decks. I mean, this is so cool.
Yeah. And all you're doing, like, you take that and you take it from your inbox and you put it straight into the book, and then you're gone, and then you can do the same thing next week. Yeah. I really like it. Our last story for the news is Patiti. So this is a Kickstarter by Acadia Miniatures, and they are doing, well, some fairly unique minis, honestly. I really, really like this stuff. It's all kind of like Aztec dinosaur stuff, which is not exactly a new idea, but they've gone in different directions with it. So the first one is the Quetzalcoatl, which is the thing that everybody has to do at some point. But after that, everything else seems to get very specific and very unique. So we've got an Ankylosaurus, but it's like a man Ankylosaurus. We have... I'm not going to try and pronounce that, but it's like... I want to say it's like a Jaguar warrior, but it's like almost a sci-fi Jaguar warrior. There's different couple versions of that. And then there's a humanoid... Shiitake? Sure.
I'm gonna say
He's
my
Shiitake.
Spanish pronunciation is not where my Japanese is, but I think that's what it is.
Ishitaka would make sense, I suppose. Because there's an I there. My favourite has to be what is, I'm sorry, it's not a Triceratops. I know that they're trying to call it after a Triceratops, but that's not a Triceratops. I really, really like that, though. I like the humanoid nature of these. It kind of feels like it should belong in an 80s cartoon, but it's miniatures.
I was gonna say it's like this is a Latino Central America spin on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's fair. The Buffasaur down the bottom is just so cute.
Yeah, little.
He's just really cute. And then there's a version that comes on a plinth.
What's his name from Thundercats? Snarf. He's a Snarf.
Oh, I can't unsee that now. He is wearing a Triceratops skull. Yes, that's what a Triceratops looks like. And then like we're getting into advanced versions of chameleons and
Oh my god, look at Shimmy.
I just saw it.
Saw Jimmy.
Oh my! Oh, I'm starting to hate this company more and more. I keep on seeing things I want. I am one of these kids that grew up loving dinosaurs. I always was. I was a fan of Dino Riders, hence why I did the Dino Riders thing a while ago. Dinosaurs were always cool. Jurassic Park was always cool. Even the bad movies, they're always cool. So I can't help but melt when it's dino stuff. And if somebody does something dino that's also unique as well, I just can't help but fall in love with it. I don't really know what you would use a lot of this stuff for, but it's really, really pretty. I would be arguing that most of this stuff is just going to be artwork projects and to test your skill. Because I think it's very clearly what they're going for. You might be able to find a game that suits them, but that's not
Build a diorama
really what
with
it's
it.
for. Yeah.
Look down at the 27.5 unlock, the Titanosaura.
Ooh. Oh, that is pretty. So that's the next one that they're going for. Oh, they've also got a multi-part kit coming up as well to convert that the not a Triceratops mini.
Yeah.
I think they've done really, really well with this. It's really, really pretty.
So back to what you said of what these are going to be used for. I think you're pretty right on like testing your skill because all the painted versions I see further on down is showing them on like competition display plinths, not like a game base.
Yeah.
So you're probably right about that.
This is also a 75mm scale mini as well. So you're not. I mean, there's very few games that would actually allow for minis that large.
Well, if you look, it looks like in one of the photos there, they've got a little Space Marine type dude staying next to the.
Yeah, next to.
I must have missed that.
It's down towards the bottom.
Oh, maybe I went
Right
back up.
where you get all the painted stuff.
But yeah,
you got measurements and turnarounds, and like the second photo down is a big guy measuring.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Inches.
That's not too bad, actually.
So if you're playing a Lizardman army for a Sigmar, you could probably find a way to use one or two of these in a game of Sigmar as a stand-in. I mean, obviously not in a Games Workshop sanctioned tournament because they don't allow that.
No, but I could see that working quite well, actually. I like the one below where the guy's just looking down at the mini like he's going to crush it. It's like, ooh, you think you're going to fight me? That's really cute. Bang!
Tiny space marine.
Yeah.
He just looks like he wants to go bonk. I really like this. I really like this. That's it for the news, though. We are going to move on.
I'm just going to
maybe it's
add
not.
on. I just need to add on that. Okay, great. You've got the miniatures designed. Make a game for them now. Give us a reason to buy them, other than just to have them.
There are companies out there that just create minis for the sake of art, and I think that's what these guys are aiming for. But this is screaming for a game.
If there was a game associated with this, I'd be like, can I pledge this?
Yeah. Acadia Miniatures are another company that's created other things before. I might just mention it because I always do check this stuff, but I try not to show stuff that I'm not sure of.
So we're moving on?
Yep, moving on.
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
So we are looking at Imperial Terrain today, and Major Socks is the one that suggested this one.
Yeah, so
I'm sure that has nothing to do with the definitely not Star Wars stuff that's on this website, right?
Oh, nothing like that at all. So we looked at another company called Imperial Tabletop Terrain. This one is Imperial Terrain, and it has to do with a bunch of STLs, 3D prints that you can do for Star Wars Legion. You can buy the STLs, or you can do. They have another little link that says Shop at Panhandle 3D. Who has the license through this company to buy them directly from them, already printed. And so there's all sorts of terrain. You got desert themes, you got military. I was going to go to the landing bay theme.
Yep.
Because I have one that's kind of similar to this already.
Oh,
come on. Doesn't want to show me anything.
No.
Even though I know you have stuff. Because right on the front page is a landing pad set, which should be inside that landing bay theme. So I already have some modular. I know it is. So I already have a modular.
The landing pad set is inside the military theme.
Yeah, that works too. So the landing pad, I already have some walls that kind of create that space. I'm just wanting to get this pad now so I can stick that in the middle as a center terrain piece for my landing pad. But then you can have urban terrain, the urban theme, pretty cool looking too.
Yeah. That's where I started, was on that when we opened it.
Yeah, just have a whole bunch of different urban themes for a little cityscape.
The one I really like, the forest theme with the giant trees, and the fact that they've kind of just it just cuts it off in a way that kind of suggests that they are a lot taller than what they look. Because of course,
I've played with these. I've played with these already, and I agree. They are very fun. The tree set A's have some really tall trees, and then I've played with the fallen tree set, and so they're pretty good ground cover. Some barricade type things for some cover for your minis and stuff like that. And so I like the fallen tree and the tree and stump because it kind of gives you a area terrain effect too.
Yeah,
that you can use as well. So
I like that too with the whole, like when we had that talk with Mel of, you got your trees, right? They're not that small. They're huge. They're giant.
Yeah.
But you can't make the trees that big for your terrain. And I think that's a really cool workaround of, here's like the tree trunk and we're just going to cut it off here. But, this could be like, another 5-6 feet taller kind of tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really like that. Especially because the thing I like about these is that these trees could be anywhere. Just because it's part of a Star Wars thing. You could have this right in the middle of 40K. It could be right in the middle of Moonstone. It can be it could be anything. The only thing it probably wouldn't fit would be Bushido. But even then, I think you could probably stretch because it's a fantasy version of Japan. But these, they fit really well in pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They've done really well here. I mean, they've got vehicles and stuff that you can print off as well, which is nice.
Yep.
Is this all printable or?
It's
It is
all
all
3D printable. You can buy,
Okay.
you can pay somebody to print this out for you. That's the thing that he was talking about earlier.
So someone like me that doesn't have a 3D printer and probably won't get one until I officially retire and settle down somewhere where I'm not moving every 2 to 3 years and have to reset up a printer.
So after they stop being a thing that you can buy that.
Yeah. So.
No, they've done really well.
What is that? Another 7 years now for you then?
9.
Oh, it's close.
Pretty close. Yep. So, yep. I've like I said, I played on those trees. I really like those trees. I'm going to order a set or two for a table. Probably a set of everything that you see there, actually. Because that would give me enough tree terrain to play on.
Yeah. No, they've done really, really well here.
So,
they've
done
done
a
really,
little
really
shuttlecraft. A little shuttlecraft for like my cargo landing bay, so I can stick it on the landing bay itself.
Okay, so I just found something kind of. I was gonna say the worm pit by Jesus.
I literally found it at the same time. Oh, I love that so much.
Where's that one again? I can't remember.
I just found it randomly. Like, I was just going through, like, looking at all the stuff, just like, oh, hey, that's...
Yeah, that's... I know where that is.
Are there rules for the Sarlacc in your Star Wars Legion there?
There isn't. They just came out with a... You could. They actually just came out with a... So I just played an event. I'll talk about it. Well, I'll talk about it in Game Talk. They just came out with an event where you had a little creature running around on the game board. It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
They don't
have one for the Sarlacc, but you could probably create rules of some sort.
I would probably have it as like a dangerous terrain piece, where if you you've got a roll to go over it, and if you roll poorly, then you get eaten. The thing is that if you do something like that, players are just going to not go there, and you kind of have to write it in a way where it's like, well, you're not allowed to pretend that it's not there. Your characters don't know, so.
You'll need to put a high value, like, essentially game winning objective.
That works. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think this is really good. You've done well.
Yeah, really good find there, Socks. I'm looking at some of the stuff and I'm like, how is George Lucas not shutting this down yet? Oh, that's right, he sold it.
George Lucas is not that. I mean,
yes, George he is.
Well, but at the same time, Disney are much worse for that.
Yeah, well, and that's, but also they're a bigger company, so they have more people to go around and do stuff like that. But no, George Lucas was, because part of his deal when he did Star Wars was he got paid less, but he was guaranteed so much of the merchandise.
Yeah.
And so he was very litigious because if it wasn't actual merchandise that he got actual money for, he didn't want it on the market.
Yeah. Which is amusing because, well, there's always been a lot of Star Wars ripoff stuff. So,
which is why Asmodee came out about a month ago or so, month and a half, saying all 3D printed stuff, characters that they had sets for could not be used anymore.
Yep.
They were shutting all those sites down.
Yeah. And
makes sense.
As much as I understand why people got upset about that, I'm sorry, those people are wrong. Asmodee were 100% in the right to do that. Like, it is their business. And as much as fan-made stuff is a thing that exists, they are under...
Armies.
Well, they're not under any obligation to allow you to use that stuff in their game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you were never allowed to use that stuff in their game. Everybody already knew this. All they did was remind you. And everybody else had rules for this officially a long time ago. Again, like, I have 3D printers. I get it. But, yeah. Moving on.
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
Socks, what have you been up to? You kind of already started on it, so let's start with you.
So, I haven't worked on much hobby as much as I wanted to, partly because me driving back and forth between here and the other side of Florida multiple times trying to see rocket launches kind of kept me being busy on that. But I got a game in a couple weeks ago, last Saturday actually, where it was a little event that AMG put out for Star Wars Legion, where you had little gas vents and you had to control these gas vents, and if you had units nearby, you get a victory point. Well, whoever had the most victory points lost priority to move. Okay, if you remember the trash compactor scene of episode 4, where the little creature comes up out of the water. Well,
the first one?
The first one, yeah, the Diagnaga. So, yeah, they actually have one of those as a token on the game board. And so as you're moving your minis around, he can attack all your minis around you. And so it was a lot of fun to play this little scenario event that they had. I ended up winning the game, but, I mean, just bought in victory points. But it was a lot of fun to move this little creature around and attack my opponent. And I was able to move it at different times and attack 4 of his units all at once. And then I eventually lost the priority because I had more victory points than him. And so I eventually moved them all towards my stormtroopers and was attacking my stormtroopers all at once. And so it's a fun little game. I think there'll be more story event type sets coming out in the years. We know there's a lot of new stuff coming out based on the Mandalorian and Boba Fett's series. So, and with Andor previewing next week, this Wednesday, I think we'll see some more stuff coming out on that time frame as well. So, George, what have you been up to?
Fun story. I actually just finally watched the last episode of Kenobi today.
Oh, wow. Did you start that late? I thought you were watching that when we were watching it originally.
I was, and then I just the last 15 minutes is episode 5. I never finished watching it, and then never watched episode 6.
Oh, okay.
And so I was sitting there, and I'm going through, because I'm not being very physically active right now due to pain. So, I ordered a tabletop Stronghold, and I did a filming for it, but I'm not ready to release it because I am waiting on a couple things, because I did have some issues with parts. But Samuel, super responsive. Stupid carpet chair. Yeah. Super responsive. I sent photos, obviously, so he knew I wasn't gaslighting him. So this is the small one, right?
Yep.
Which, I mean, it's a lot bigger than you would think when you think it's small. So, I'm pretty happy with it, and I was right, Bruce. The MDF on that. That's a really thick MDF.
Okay, so it's not the double layer like I thought it was.
Yeah, no, it's one solid piece. It seems pretty sturdy. There's a couple things that I will probably go back through and fix for my own personal, it should be like this. Doing washers instead of just the flat heads on the MDF and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But as far as it's not just a simple box. It is pretty cool. The door catch is a little, but it works well enough. But the fact that I can, I've got that much, variability for,
different armies.
Well, I was going to say model heights.
Yeah.
And when I was putting it together, I was looking what is this for? I don't get this, right? You put your tray in, and it slides in.
Oh.
And there's a hole in the bottom that it goes into.
And now that can't come out. That's brilliant.
And now the trays can't come out without you pulling that out.
That's awesome.
So the door just being, Velcro straps for, cable management, I'm more okay with after figuring that out. So
yeah.
I don't know about the big giant one, but definitely this size and the mid-size one, I think they're worth a look if you're looking for. Let me get this back over. Yeah. I think they're definitely worth a look for army storage and transportation. Now, the other cool thing, and this is why I might be sold on these, if you take 2 of those trays side by side, I think that takes up 1 shelf in the IKEA display case.
Oh,
nice.
So you could quite literally have 2 of those boxes and 50 trays or whatever, and just have the trays in the display cases like, oh, I need this and this and this, and stick them in the boxes and go.
That's really good. Yeah.
That's nice.
I did get these in. I'm going to show you the one I'm super excited for.
Scooby-Doo board game. Who made that?
Warner Brothers.
Simon.
Oh,
Okay.
of course.
It is pre-painted miniatures.
So
it's
open when you do the unboxing for that for us, George. Obviously you'll need to show off and let us know how you feel about the pre-painted, because they generally go in one of 2 directions, regardless of who the company is. Yeah.
Yep.
It's very rarely a middle ground.
So there's another part of it. It's a Looney Tunes game, but I'm more excited for the Scooby-Doo because it's a mystery game. You all play together solving a mystery.
Yeah, I remember this being on Kickstarter now.
Yeah, so that just showed up. Really excited for it. Part of the reason why I'm excited for it to be like pre-painted is this is more of a family board game. This is the kind of board game that I would pull out with my 15-year-old, my 44-year-old self, and my 70-year-old mom to sit down and play a game together. You know, I'm not gonna have my mom play Cthulhu Death May Die or Nemesis or any of the other variety things. But Scooby-Doo, I'll have her play that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So like I said, I was attracted by it because it's more of a family game, and you know, is a different spin on like everything else I've been doing. So I figured I'd add to the collection to be more acceptable to other people who may not be crazy like me, or you.
I'm not crazy. The voices in my head told me I wasn't.
I'm not crazy. My mom had me tested.
So it's just Socks. Just Socks is the crazy one.
Yeah, that's me.
Yep. George, I feel like you're missing the most obvious thing that you should have been talking about. You're sitting inside a room that you completely redone and are complaining about the pain.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so as you can see, look how much more space I have. That is a wall.
Plus, it actually looks nice.
That wall. Well, that wall, that wall has always looked nice. Over this way is more open space, which means I have room for what Socks has behind him. I have room for a table.
Nice. It's about time.
Well,
that is why George was recording in the middle of his lounge room last episode.
Yes. I technically have a room on this side of the wall that I'm like, you see my arm shaking, big enough for like a table and stuff over there. But Casey decided she wanted the dogs to have that room, so the dogs have their own room to sleep in and stuff. So
it's better than dog beds being everywhere, I suppose.
No, there's still dog beds everywhere.
Oh, okay. Then why do they get a room?
We legitimately have like boarding style kennels in that room.
Fair enough. You also have like 300 dogs.
6.
That's what I said. 300.
Well, we have more than 300 pounds of dogs. Yes.
All right. So I've had an interesting couple of weeks. To start on the actual hobby front, because I will discuss hobby first. I got some paint. Oh, hang on. I better turn off my blurry thing. Because otherwise, I will not be able to show this off. So, I actually got some paint on the roads. These are the Knights of Dice roads that I was showing off last time.
Yeah.
Literally, this is all spray can. Like, it's all spray can. Like, there's no anything else there. That's the full one. It's a really nice kit, honestly. This is a kit.
MDF, right?
Yeah, it's MDF, yeah.
I just love how MDF can look so good with a couple coats of paint on it.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need to dirty it up and stuff a little bit. I haven't done that yet. But I really like it. I've also been building more secret project stuff. So this is an Infinity miniature that I have modified. He originally was holding a present because it's a limited edition Infinity miniature of Fat Wan being Santa Claus. And I literally cut the gift out of his hand and then shaved the hand down, and then I've given him a big mallet or a big giant lead pipe made out of a paper clip, because I wanted him to actually hold something that was more reminiscent. My plan is to eventually cut off all of these gifts on the back as well. This is a project that I've only spoken a little bit of, and I'm going to get to that in a second. This particular miniature is one that I was like asking the Infinity community like how convertible it is, because I didn't want it to be Santa Claus. And everybody was like, well, you're not really going to be able to do much. It's all kind of one piece, and it is. So I need to take to this with what I would normally call a bone saw. I can't think of like what the hobby saws are, and then slowly cut it down.
A jeweler saw.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to just cut it down. I'm going to have to end up using green stuff on this. I'm not going to have much of a choice, but I'm going to try and avoid that as much as I possibly can.
Does the Infinity community know that you were destroying a limited edition mini?
It's something that's been in stock for that long that if they don't own it, it's their own fault.
Okay, just checking. Because I know if someone finds out that you destroyed a limited edition mini, they're going to be like, what is wrong with you? This is something I got at 50% off because it's been in stock for that long that they're trying to get rid of it. If you would like to buy this limited edition miniature, the Combat Company have a few of them. It's an old limited edition that you haven't been able to buy, in theory, for... This was new like 4 or 5 years ago. I brought this like 3 weeks ago. So it's very much old stock. I do not feel guilty at all. The only reason I bought this is because I bought it cheap. I'm just checking. Just checking. I mean, the Colonel, whatever, that very limited edition for Games Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
If you said, oh yeah, I'm going to mod it like this, and you would probably get death threats from people.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I paid more for that than I was comfortable with, so I'm not going to do that. All right. And then finally, the other thing that I've been doing this weekend is an episode I was on Tabletop's XLBS show. So for those of you that are not aware, On Tabletop is also known as Beasts of War. They have a weekender show that they do every weekend, which is kind of a similar vein to what we do. It's one of the companies that inspired us. They are the company that allowed me to do an unboxing for Dystopian Wars a few months ago. I am a special guest on their behind the scenes episode this weekend. So we talked a little bit about hobby. We talked about the channel. And the big thing is I actually had a conversation about the Secret Project. So if you're curious about what the Secret Project is, I have given some hints. Our Patreon do know about it because there is an exclusive Discord channel that they can talk in where I share everything when I do it. But I actually talk about, in theory, what the rules are. I don't go through everything, but I show off some of the stuff that I've been doing, the ideas behind how I'm sculpting the game. I was having a conversation with Warren last week about how trying to rate my own game has given me more respect for game creators, because I've never been one of these people that's like, I don't understand how writing a game can be that difficult, because obviously it is. And anybody that actually spends 5 seconds thinking about it will understand how hard that is.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's very easy to tell too. When you sit down, is it a good game? Is it fun? Is it easy to play? That's because good game designer. Is it terrible? Is it hard to understand? Does it take too long? Blah, blah. Bad game designer. It's
even more simple than that. Like, realistically, every time you introduce something new into the game, let's just take 40K for an example. They've just reintroduced the Votann. Right. There is the chance that when they did that, the entire game falls over because it just doesn't work anymore. Now, it's quite fair to say that there are people that have problems with the fact that they have power creep all the time. I am one of those people, But I have also understood that that was always a business decision that they did to make money, not something they did by mistake. As opposed to, I'm going to design a new weapon, and this weapon is going to cause the entire game to fall apart. It's very easy for those things to happen when you're designing a game. And I mean, as much as we all have our moments where we're like, grr. Trying to write my own has really opened my eyes a bit about just how hard that is. It is really hard. So that's what we talk about. So if you want to know more about the secret project, that will be a good place to go. On tabletop.com, it's a backstage show. They do have a free trial. I'm not here to peddle their stuff. But that is what you would need to do if you want to watch it.
Talk nerdy to me.
We're kind of
Talk
running
nerdy to me, Bruce.
We're kind of running a little late on this, but we were going to look at the UCM exotics.
And there's only 2, so I think we can squeeze those in real quick.
Yeah. Now, there is one of these that we've actually spoken about once before, but because we're now covering these as section by section, I think it's pretty fair to say that we can actually do this. So, Socks, do you want to cover the hazard suits?
Yep. So the hazard suits, you can get a squad size of 2, 35 points apiece. Move a 1 inch because they're an infantry unit. They have no countermeasures. They have 9 armor, 3 damage points, infantry of 2+ as their type, and resilient as their special rule. They have compact railguns, so 0 move and fire, front side rear arc, range full, range countered is 24, 3 shots, 1+ accuracy, energy 6, with a focus 2 and reduced 1 special rule for that weapon. And then they have powered armor as their close quarters, combat ability with 3 shots, energy 5, reduced 1. And the hazard suit allows you to reroll collateral damage hits against the unit. So if they're in the building, the ceiling tiles start falling down on them, they can reroll those hits. So
the range full on the compact railgun is infinity.
Infinite.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. If I missed it, yeah. Thanks.
I didn't hear you actually say a range. I just heard range full and then range counter 24.
Yep.
Yeah,
I may have.
that is what he
I may
did.
have missed that. Yeah.
There is also the Flak A18, which I quite like the way they look, honestly. They can move 2 inches. They do have active countermeasures. Their armor is 7. They've got damage of 6. Their infantry type is infantry 4+. They are also resilient, and they have flak cannons. There's no move and fire. The arc is 360 degrees. Range full is 30 inches. Countered is 18 inches. They've got 3 shots, accuracy of 3+, energy 6. They are anti-air 2 and reduced 1. And loader. This unit reduces its shot value by 1 for every 2 damage points lost instead of every 1 damage point. You can only have a squad size of 2 with these as well. So, because as they take damage, you're losing people, and it means that they don't have somebody spare to load them. So it actually kind of makes sense.
A flat cannon is a much more substantial gun than what people run around with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the exotics. I don't not like either of them. They both fill very different roles in the table. So this is not really the sort of thing where you're going to be like, well, I would be picking this over that because of that. They're both completely different units. One of them is to stop anti-air. I mean, if you're not facing someone that has a lot of air, which would be unusual, then maybe you don't have a place for them. Whereas the hazard suits will fit pretty much anything, but they're 2 completely different things. You can't really compare them with each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, the hazard suits, they strike me as more of a resilient type of, objective grabbing unit versus, the flak team looks like, more of a, supporting the actual army kind of team. That's apples and oranges. You can't compare them. I like the fact that they are the same price. So it's they've gone through and made it intentionally of, I've got 35 points. Which one I take? It's not oh, well, I can't take this one because it's 35 and I've only got room for 30 and this one's 30.
Yeah.
You know.
And they both take exactly the same slots inside the transports too. So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, they're Dave has done a really good job here of like just pick which one you need and just go with it.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
all right, to start with, the Amunsba Gambit campaign is continuing. This is the Slow Grow League that's being done in Drop Fleet Commander at the moment. It's being run by one of the admin team. So this is a community event. You can run games as part of this, but basically the idea is that you're building a army and you're going alongside. The rounds are as follows. The first round has already started and continues until Thursday, the 21st of September, which is 500-point games. You're not allowed to have admirals in that. The second round will then start on the 6th of October and go through until Thursday, the 27th. That's 999-point games. You are allowed to have admirals in that. And the final round is November, which is the 3rd of November till the 24th. And that is 1,500-point games. Again, you're allowed to have admirals with that. So it's a slow grow league. The idea is that you're supposed to be getting your games in. There is a campaign pack. There's sections on the website where you can log all of your results. You can look at the leaderboard, which I might actually try to have a look at.
Are there rules to permit or prohibit things like battleships and dreadnoughts?
Only in the standard rules, so you can't take certain things in certain game sizes anyway.
Okay, well, when it first came out and we were having our grow league at my local store, there was 2 battleships that didn't show up.
Yep.
And the call was made, no one else could use battleships since these other players don't have access to yet.
Yep. No,
so
that's fair.
Once the store was, so I was just those tend to be more of the higher end price ships. So just make
Yeah.
So looking at the players list at this stage, we have 3 PHR players. We have 2 Shaltari players. That really surprises me. 1, 2, so there's 4 UCM. Yep, 4 UCM. And Scourge, there's 2 Scourge. There's 3 Resistance. So it's a fairly even spread, honestly.
I was going to say, there's at least 2 of each, and was it PHR, UCM, and Resistance have 3?
Yeah. And Shaltari only have 2. So there's less Shaltari players than everybody else. PHR are number 1 and 2 at this stage. Shaltari are number 3. Michelle is currently placed in 4th with his UCM. That's it at this stage. I don't know anybody else specifically. So, yeah. The faction leaders, I suspect, have to be PHR because they're taking 1st and 2nd place. Yeah, they are. So PHR is 45% of the game at this stage. They're holding 1st place, followed by the Resistance, UCM, Shaltari, and the heroes of the game are currently coming last. You need to do better, Scourge players. You're the only thing protecting the world from this UCM propaganda. You need to fight harder.
The glorious cyborgs are the heroes of the campaign.
You pronounced Scourge wrong. Only the heroes would call themselves something like Scourge. Only the villains would turn around and call the heroes of the game Scourge. Come on.
And then there's the space hedgehogs. They're like, what are we doing here?
I was just going to say, the Shaltari are just sitting there like figuring out who they need to annihilate first.
Pretty much. It's still very early in the campaign, so there's still a lot to go at this stage.
Yeah, I was going to say, in my Grow League, I was dead last the first 3 rounds. And then once I really figured out and was able to have enough ships to use the Shaltari, I started just wiping people off the table. So, and if these people, if some of these guys are truly doing a Grow League of, and starting new fleets, they could be learning this, the fleet for the first time. So
Yeah.
Very much so. Now, there is also a terrain building competition going on in the Drop Zone Commander Facebook group at the moment. This is being run by the admin of the group, and it's being supported by TT Combat and Blots. So the idea is that you're designing a piece of terrain and some rules to go with that. I'm trying to find the deadline because somebody was a very smart person and did not give me that information because they were being distracted by taunting George instead. You've got a deadline of the 1st of December. So you need to create a fully painted piece of terrain and you need to make rules for that said piece of terrain. So you could scratch build it, you could buy a kit and then build it and then paint it. It's completely up to you. He gives an example here of an aircraft hangar. It's a single piece, it's an airfield, or it's multiple pieces. And then obviously you would put rules to whatever that works like in game. So you need to submit your final entry by the 31st of December. You need to enter the competition before the 1st of December. So you need to be entered by the 1st of December and everything needs to be completed by the end of the year. Secret prizes coming from TT Combat. Uncertain Scenery have vouchers and so forth. Green Stuff World, Blots. There's quite a few people that's actually supporting this. It would be worth entering that if you are a fan of Drop Zone. PAX Australia is coming up. I will be there. All 3 days. The 3-day passes are sold out. We have been warning you for a month that Saturday was going to do the same thing, and it now is. Friday and Sunday passes are now beginning to sell out very quickly as well. So if you want to go to PAX Australia, you need to buy your passes now. It's very unlikely that you're going to get them on the day. Generally speaking, there tends to be some left for the Friday. Sunday and Saturday is usually gone by the time the event starts. So my advice would be to buy now. I will be there. I will be filming as part of my thing there, not all the time. So by all means, if you happen to notice me, come up and say hello. If I appear to be filming something, then maybe just give me a couple of seconds. Obviously, if I'm doing an interview, you might need to wait longer than that. But by all means, come up and say hello. I'm probably
You'll
not
probably
know who
be
you are.
wearing a Getting Tabled shirt.
I will be wearing a Getting Tabled shirt, yes. All 3 days I'll be wearing Getting Tabled shirts. So yeah, look, by all means, come up, say hello. I'm not really expecting that will happen, but by all means.
3 different shirts, or are you just going to wear the same shirt all weekend? And
I've got 4 of the shirts, so I'll wear a different shirt every day.
Okay, I was just making sure you're not going to wear the same shirt and it just continue to ripen.
October 7th till 9th, just for the record. And then finally, PAX Unplugged is coming up as well. That's December 2nd till 4th, which is for our American viewers. Socks, do you want to read through the connections?
Yes, I can. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/gettingtabled, Facebook at facebook.com/gettingtabled, where we're one of the most active areas of our social media. You can find us at youtube.com/gettingtabled. Please subscribe to us. We want to try and grow that subscription, and we'll get more content out to you as we can. You can email us at gettingtabled@gmail.com. Twitter and Instagram is at gettingtabled, and our website is gettingtabled@weebly.com. And then twitch.tv/Jason the Bruce for his live streaming channel that he does Mondays and Thursdays, his time at 7 p.m. So,
thank you very much.
Where you can find us all.
Did you ask him to do that because he proved he can read and I can't?
Yes.
No, because he hasn't done it for a while.
Oh.
No, it's because I can read.
George, do the thing.
I'm going to do the thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.